Hey train fans, welcome to Rockwall Canyon. Alright, so today's episode we're going to welcome a couple of new engines to the roster. We've got a Aristocraft U25B in the main central paint scheme and Aristocraft FA1 in a Union Pacific scheme that'll probably be kind of short-lived. Now the main central is something that I've been looking for a really long time. I've been into G-scale trains for over 30 years now, and that's one that's been around almost since the beginning of my interest in G-scale. Probably would have been early 90s when that came out. So really cool to finally have one of these in hand. Alright, so here's the locomotive fresh out of the box, although missing its couplers. You can see that the paint job is pretty good. The nose is kind of strange. There is a little green square on the nose. It shouldn't have been the entire surface of the top of the nose. Should have been painted in green and kind of softened around the corners. And the other detail I wanted to address were the walkways. Particularly, there's a little box in the back, and on either end of the cab, the top of the walkways are yellow, which the yellow would not have lasted very long. The actual locomotive, they were either painted green or black. So I've chosen to do those details in black. Both the top of the nose and those boxes have been highlighted in black. And being an older locomotive, there are some details that just didn't exist. I added these little faux steps to the sides of the battery boxes where there would have been at least some kind of a foothold. So at least we have some kind of a representation of that now. So anyways, I think it's a lot sharper looking engine now that I've addressed those few details. So here we see the engine off running around. It does have its original motor blocks. They're the older style block with the axle ends that actually go into the journals. And the engine has some suspension, and it runs pretty well. I think I need to take the motor blocks apart and see if I can get them running a little smoother. But so far so good. We'll see what happens with that. So in speaking of the operation of this engine, one of the most annoying details in this locomotive are the trucks. They have these swing adapters, so the truck is sort of mounted on the end. And what that does is it allows the locomotive to take a much sharper radius loop. And that was kind of done back in the early 90s to kind of compete with the LGB stuff. Most people had layouts that didn't have any larger turns than say 5 foot diameter at the most. So this was kind of a necessary thing to have so that such a long locomotive like this could take a turn and not have as much swing and hopefully not derail all the cars. But unfortunately, what happened very often is that the engine would derail because the weight was all mixed up because of those end-mounted trucks. So what I've done is I've removed the roller bolsters and actually salvaged them to make central pivot bolsters. So it rides just like a GP38 now. They're about the same length, I think. Anyways, you can see it rolls along just fine without having the extra swing because on my layout, my minimum radius is 8 foot or 16 foot diameter. So we don't have any issue with the extra swing from that engine. All right, coming up next here, we have our Union Pacific Alco FA1 diesel. Making a drive-by here. This is a fairly new engine. It's one of the last runs from Aristocraft before they went out of business. That would have been, probably 2010 era. There was another run later on, closer to 2015, done under the Pulks Generation Next label, but this was prior to that. So I'm not sure if this is a Revo compatible model or not, but it does have the newer motor blocks and the new smoke unit, and just a great engine, really heavy. Looking forward to making good use of this in the Rockwall Canyon. And while I do like this Union Pacific paint scheme, they were actually one of the last railroads to run Alco cab units like that. I do have plans to repaint these engines. I have an ABA set of these, and I'm looking to probably go towards my Rockwall Canyon paint scheme. I'm currently weighing two options, either this Canadian National inspired scheme or perhaps something based off of this main central scheme that would be a fitting colorway for that locomotive. Maybe I'll do both. I don't know. I have enough of these FA units, I could probably do a lot. Anyways, folks, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed the episode. I'm Rocky Canyon Arrow, and that's how we do trains around here.